Gambledore came out of nowhere and absolutely smashed the best poker players in the world for the highest stakes available. Let's see how he does it.
200.
Just comes with the limp.
Simple for Patrik to jam.
It's possible.
What does Espen know? He's getting 7-1 on a call, but he's got a dusty queen 6. He's going to try and c3. See if Patrik allows them.
Let's play.
Espen dominated in 2 spots.
Playing 33 big blinds deep, effective. Gambledore in the cutoff has the ace of spades, 6 of clubs, and he opts to limp. Typically, at a final table, you want to come in for a raise, because if your opponents fold, that is excellent. If you are going to limp, you typically want to limp with hands that can call a raise. In this situation, Patrik Antonius, a good, strong, world-class player, is in the big blind, and he may feel somewhat inclined to raise Gambledore's limp somewhat often, just to try to nudge his stack closer to being all in, if he thinks he can push him around. Now, I'm not exactly sure how Gambledore plays. He came out of nowhere. I do know that Patrik typically takes a more, call it regimented approach. He's not like overly loose, aggressive, and crazy, trying to punish the limpers, because limpers always are weak, because they're not. So this is a situation where those dynamics are at play. That said, Gambledore limps the ace-6 offsuit. Then, Espen, the World Series of Poker main event winner, opts to call 100,000 more in the small blind. At a final table four-handed with huge payout implications, I probably would have just folded this one with Patrik Antonius on my direct left, because typically you do not want to play too many pots from out of position against the bigger stack. Now you may say, but Patrik hasn't even done anything. Why am I talking about him so much? Well, he is the biggest stack remaining in the pot, and that means that if he feels inclined, he can drive the action to some extent, and that's not really a situation you want to be in when you are a middle stack out of position. So even though Espen's getting great pot odds, his hand's really, really bad. High card, low card, offsuit is not a good hand. And so for that reason, I think I'd probably just let it go. That said, he calls. Antonius with queen 8 of diamonds has a nice, easy check. If he got the vibe that any of the players, or especially Gambledore, is just going to fold to a raise, make it 900K. Make him have to put a large chunk of his chips in. But if you think he's limping with a much more reasonable range that will call a raise or even shove over a raise, in that situation, just check and see the flop and don't overly complicate things.
Oh, everyone interacting with the 975.
Little piece for all.
800.
The flop is an interesting one. It is 975. Now, typically, the player in the big blind gets to lead on these middle connected boards, and that is even much more true. It's magnified at a final table, because this is a spot where normally if Gambledore raise, he's not going to have a whole lot of low suited connected cards. If you've studied the ICM charts on pokercoaching.com, you know you should not play the low suited connectors as the middle or short stack at a final table. That said, Gambledore is teaching us all lessons here today, and all those charts go out the window. So for that reason, I don't think we can very clearly try to range Gambledore as not having middle connected cards. If anything, when people who come out of nowhere opt to limp in, it often is with middle connected cards. So for that reason, I do not think either the small blind or the big blind should bet in this situation. They just simply check and see what happens. Gambledore with his gut shot, an ace high. He has the best hand. He goes for a 300,000 bet into 800,000. I think this is a spot where it's probably best just to check it back and not have to put your money in the pot, because if you do bet and get raised, which will happen against the blind some chunk of the time, that's really, really bad, because you probably have to fold the gut shot. And ace high wins sometimes when it checks down. So I think I would let it check and not play a big pot here, but we're going to default to Gambledore today. He goes 300K. Let's see how the other two gut shots respond.
Queen 6 is down. Because Queen 8's got the backdoor flush draw and 1 over card. Cheap price. Should see him flick this one in, which he does.
See the turn. Exactly.
Queen 6 shows a massive downside of having junky hands like Queen 6 in this scenario. It has a gut shot. It has an overcard, but it's drawing almost dead and simply has to fold. Good fold there. Antonius now has to figure out if he should call or raise. If this was a single raise pot, like I mentioned earlier, this might actually be a pretty good spot to just put in a raise and make your opponent fold everything that's not really good. But because it's very difficult to range Gambledore in the spot, he just might be sitting here with 2 pair or a straight or something for all we know. So for that reason, I think calling does make a whole lot more sense. Also, Patrik Antonius' queen-8 of diamonds may be too good to raise because he really does not want to raise and then get shoved on with a gut shot and an overcard and a backdoor flush draw. So I think Patrick's call is what I would have done in this scenario. It ensures you stay in the pot, it doesn't make it gigantic, and it helps you realize your equity very, very well. Especially when you're not sure what your opponent's range is, it's often best to take a more measured approach, especially if you think they may be inclined to make some sort of blunder in the future. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Gambledore, but if you think that's the case, then you typically want to keep the stack to pot ratio as deep as possible.
Well, Patrik improving but remains unpaired as he's picked up additional outs in the form of a jack now.
Should I be greedy or I should be polite to my master? I will polite.
So what you feel?
Turn is the 10 of spades and both players check. I think this is a reasonable play from both players. Antonius may want to develop a leading range. Typically when an overcard comes to the flop, almost no matter what it is, unless the board is very low and connected, the big blind really doesn't get to develop many leads. But in scenarios where there are big payout implications like this, the chip leader does get to develop more and more and more leads. There's actually a good chapter in this by a world championship of poker online winner, Vlada Stojanovic, I think that's how you say his name, in my book, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Check it out. He goes through a bunch of post-flop situations where he shows how the big stack should be leading, and it's far more often than they should if there were no payout implications. So this may actually be a spot where Antonius should put in a lead some chunk of the time, but he opts to check, and I think that's very defensible. Now, Gambledore has to decide if he wants to bet. Can he make better hands fold? That's something you always want to be asking yourself in spots like this. Also, you want to ask, if I check, can I reasonably check it down and win? I don't think he's going to check it down and win in this situation all that often, but it's going to be some tiny portion of the time. Also, if he bets and gets raised, he has to fold. If he bets and gets called, he's almost always in very bad shape, and I'm not sure he wants to be bluffing it off in the spot. So I think Gambledore very wisely just checks it back. Let's go to the river.
I will be polite to my master.
So it checked through. Korzinin will win at showdown. Does Patrik, given what he's seen, think that Vlad's ever folding a pair here? And if so, does that mean he's just going to wave the white flag and give the Estonian a free showdown? No, just comes cheap.
300.
This
Looking to
bet.
shake out some random high cards better than queen high.
The river is the 3 of hearts, and Patrik Antonius goes for a tiny bet. 300K, trying to get hands like Gambledore's, ace high and king high, to fold. Now, I think this is a spot where if I was in Antonius' shoes, I would have used a bigger bet, because I do not naturally count on players who come out of nowhere to find big folds for small bets. If Gambledore has shown that he can fold the tiny river bets, then I like this play far more. But I think because Antonius is going to have a lot of hands containing a 9 or a 7 or a 10, I think he can go for a medium bet size or something closer to half pot or maybe even full pot in this situation. And I think that is going to closer to ensure Gambledore has much easier folds with ace high and king high, and also maybe even with some weak pairs. That said, Antonius goes 300K. Let's see Gambledore's magic at work.
And this is a difficult call to make for Korzinin. Look at that board. Your opponent check called you in a flop. There's not many bluffs, but queen 8 suited is one of them.
If he flicks in the call here, Randy.
When you have birthday? Which month?
December.
December? Okay, then I will present to you.
Oh, that's what you call.
Yeah.
What?
It's not today. It's not today my birthday.
No? Aye.
Randy, WTF did I just witness? He just asked the man
Unlucky.
when's his birthday.
Unlucky.
Wrong month to be born in.
Okay, next time.
Was he randomizing with Patrick's birth month there on whether or not he would call?
No, he wasn't randomizing. He just wanted to give him a
looking for
gift.
that 8 which you were hiding.
Wow.
Patrick just said the wrong month. He should have bluffed his birthday.
Gambledor gives us some thought. Ask Antonius when his birthday is. Antonius says December. Mine's in December too. And then Vladimir, Gambledor, quickly finds the call. And he's rewarded with a nice pot and later rewarded with the championship of this $200,000 buy-in Triton event. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, do me a quick favor. Click the like and subscribe button below. Click the notification bell. Thanks for being here. I hope I learned magic like Gambledor one day. Hope you do too.